Rabbi says I'm great with young people. What happens if these people ever grow up? Although I'm really not worried about that. And I should really say that it's true. I do love them, but it's easy. It really is. I have, Baruch Hashem, very fortunate. Kulam ahuvim. And it's very true. But we welcome others too. We'll test us if we can extend our love to everyone. Mitzvah Hashem. I also want to thank what made it able today to be here and have Rocky move out. Took a tremendous effort on part of many of our members who are blue-collar workers and were able to put their shoulders to the task to make Rocky's new house available so we could move into his house. And I first want to thank their wives for letting their husbands really sleepless nights. And all of them who put the effort, too many to enumerate. You know who you are. And no question. Baruch will bless you and your families with bracha v'atzlacha, nachas from your children. Amen. And also for our donors and those who support our shul. It's not true. I treat them much nicer than you. Just try it. I give you a challenge. And it wasn't by accident that we coordinated the groundbreaking with Pasha Shkolim. We need a lot of shekels. And anyone who is willing to help build our Mishkan will get an extra dose of, So a week ago, I don't know if this is working. A week ago, we were standing in Beis Hill, allegedly in the spot where Yaakov Avinu had a dream. Vayachloim, and he had a dream. And from that dream, he realized, Ochein yesh Hashem, v'mokem hazev anochi lo yadati. And we too had a dream that started exactly 7 years ago, when I decided to look for different opportunities after 9 wonderful years, productive years, that still I'm reaping the benefits of the Talmidim, many of our members in our shul at TA. And a phone call from my son Mati, who called Ozzy and got the ball rolling to this fateful day. I will never forgive you. And Baruch Hashem, Ashreinu Matayv Chalkeinu, here we are, a dream. And who would have known, and who would have realized, looking back at 7 years, that Yesh Hashem b'makom hazeh Baruch Hashem, you go through it, you don't realize it. When you reflect, you realize it. Anochi lo yadati, could have gone through those years without realizing it. Manoira hamakom hazeh, how awesome this place is. And Yaakov Avinu took vayikach me'avnei hamakom, and he said, V'evan hazois, Yeh Beis Elikim, and that's where we're standing today. We were in Eretz Yisrael, and we went somewhere in the Shomron. We were sitting and eating in a restaurant, had a wonderful meal, and right next to us was a mayor of the Shomron, over 350,000 people. He was a caricature out of the book. He looked like a war hero. He looked like something you would expect, a general in the army, a religious Jew, who was involved in some political meeting together with other people. They were discussing the budget of the Shomron and raising funds and so on and so forth. I introduced myself, and I said, he asked me, where are you from? I said, Baltimore. He said, Galut Rochoka, the far Gullus. And it struck me. In a sense, it's true. Chaim Sonnenfeld says you can be in Gullus, in the Shachaknu Miyalad Maseinu, even when you're in Eretz Yisrael. Doesn't mean you're only in Gullus here, but certainly there's an element of Gullus that is unique to being far away of Artzeinu HaKdosha. And I realized that we were in the company of people who exhibit a tremendous Mesiras Nefesh for Klal Yisrael, in giving of their lives to protect the land. We met many Gedolei Yisrael and visited many yeshivas, and were nourished from great Talmidei Chachamim who clearly are engaged in the process of preserving the purity of Mesiras Yisrael, the Mesiras of Torah that can only be preserved the way it is in Eretz Yisrael, with the intensity that's so unique to them. And I was thinking, what is our mission? What is our mission here in the Galus Rechoka, or the Galut Rechoka, however you express the words? And I want to say a short thought, something to reflect. After all, the shul is named after my father, ohel moshe. I want to acknowledge the presence of my brothers who were able to come, and my family members, my children, many of them who are here, who came from far for just a few hours to celebrate this wonderful event. And I want to talk about why I called the shul and what my father represented, and I think it's symbolic of what we're doing here. You know, when Yaakov Avinu sent his sons down to Mitzrayim, he told them three things. He told them to establish a Beis Ha'ira, L'Harish Lefanov, a Beis Medrash. He said Kriyas Shema, and then he said Amusa Hapam. Those are the three things he did. And I always said it sounds like the Gemara in Brachos. The Gemara in Brachos says that when you have a Yetzer Hara, you have a challenge. That's what we're here in this world. If you try to accomplish what you have to accomplish and you can't, and it's standing against you, Yasik B'Torah. If that doesn't work, Yikra Kriyas Shema, read Kriyas Shema. And if that doesn't work, then Yaskil Lo Yema Misa. And I think what it means, in a simple sense, is that in order to survive in Galus, one needs to be Isaac B'Torah, to have a conversation and nourish from HaKadosh Baruch Hu and learn Torah. And a person has to be involved in Limud HaTorah. Without that, we're nothing. But then if that doesn't work, realize that we have to be moshe nefesh. Yikra Krishmas Kabbalah Malchus Shamayim is Mesiras Nefesh. And after that, a person has to ponder and think that if that doesn't work, realize not that you're going to die, but you were placed on this earth with a mission. And there's a finite amount of time. Get the job done. My father was someone who represented a different challenge in the history of our people. Trying to bridge, he was born in America but grew up in the Depression, where there were no schools, it didn't have the opportunities we have today. But he learned Torah, he was a great Oyev Torah, and Oyev Talmidei Chachamim, Rachim Rabbanon. He was one who was moshe nefesh, was always, despite the challenges, he read Kriyas Shema, he was a Kabbalah Shamayim, and he lived with a sense of mission. And he carried on the tradition of his father, who also came here during World War I, before World War I, with payas and a beard, remaining that way, and carried a tradition. We have a challenge. Not whether we have to work on Shabbos, not the challenges that they had in those days, but we have challenges. And we also need to be Isaac B'Torah, to nourish and warm ourselves with Torah, to be moshe nefesh, and, of course, to live with a sense of mission. We met in Eretz Yisrael with Rav Asher Weiss, Shlita, one of the greatest poskim today. And he said over a little story, he said there were three Rabbanim who were conversing as to what is the most important role of a Rav. So the three individuals were the Aruch HaShulchan, Reb Itzel Panovich, and Reb Chaim Brisker. The Aruch HaShulchan said the role of a Rav is to teach halacha, Shulchan Aruch, understandably. That was the Aruch HaShulchan. Reb Itzel Panovich says the role of the Rav is to teach Torah. He's a Rosh Hashiva, Reb Itzel Panovich. And Reb Chaim said the role of a Rav is to do chesed. And certainly that role is not just the role of the Rav, he leads the pack, but it's all the role of all of us. And it's about a kehillah that has to grow in learning, has to grow in Mesiras Nefesh, and we have to be bonded in the sense of mission, because no one can do the mission on their own. The achdus that we need, the chesed, is the product of that chesed, is the achdus that emanates, that allows us to accomplish a mission as only a tzibur can. The Beis HaMikdash, Vasuli Mikdash. The Zohar HaKadosh says the Beis HaKnesses is the exact same thing. The Zohar says that Vasuli Mikdash is to build the Beis HaKnesses and the Beis HaMedrash. The Rambam writes that the purpose of the Mikdash at first is hakrava, sacrifice, mesiras nefesh. The second purpose is v'havoras eish tamid, the Rambam writes in Sefer HaMitzvahs. The fire of Torah should burn constantly. And finally, ve'elov tiyeh v'halicha v'aliyah l'regel v'akibutz v'chol shana, the gathering of people and their efforts and their talents represented in the aliyah l'regel when they go back inspired and do that they were sent on this earth to do and accomplish. We were told across the board, from every Rav we met, there was one idea that resonated from all of them. That our role in this world is l'kadosh Shem Shemayim. And we have in the Golus Rechaika an opportunity to l'kadosh Shem Shemayim in a different way. That perhaps you don't have in the Golus Kraiva, we'll call it, of Eretz Yisrael. We live among Goyim, and we're exposed in a certain extent, even all of us, to the influences of society. And we have an opportunity to show what a Yid is. What a Yid stands for. Honesty, integrity, inspiration, simchas hachayim. The world is lacking that. And our children are suffering because, as one of the great Rabbanim told us, they dictate what our needs are. And we don't realize that we're the B'nai Malachim, that we have such an opportunity, such privilege, and such talent that we can radiate the world with the Kedusha of Torah and mitzvahs. Rabbi Yitzchak Shaina said simply, we asked him, what do we do? What is the purpose of a shul? And he told us, Rabbi Yitzchak Shaina, may you live well, live long and be well. He's one of my father's best friends, if not his best friend. And he said, simply stated, and that's what it is. It's a Beis Hashem. It's a house of God. Where each one of us, in the lives that we live, in the smiles that we radiate, in the davening that we daven and we appeal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the inspiration of learning that we have, radiates that Selim Elikim that exists in each one of us. And that's the purpose of a shul. Ashreinu matayv chalkeinu. That's what we want to accomplish. And Ashreinu, that we have the opportunity to build a shul, which we suspect will outgrow pretty soon. But we're going forward, and we need help. But Baruch Hashem, we have an achdus, and we have to remember that achdus. We have to remember what our mission on this planet is. L'kadesh Shem Shemayim. So my tefillah, as we begin the Yesodus of our shul, as it's brought down the name of the Gaon, that from the foundations, the very laying of the first stone or digging the first shovelfuls, the kavanah, the lishma that goes in to the beginnings of the building will find its expression in everything we do. May we be zeicha, the beautiful opportunity we have, and the beautiful tzibur we have, and the beautiful chaverim yedidim, and the community that we're very fortunate to live in. Wherever we went, Baltimore is a l'shem l'teferes throughout the world. And we're proud to be a part of it together with my esteemed colleagues and all their kehillas. We don't look at ourselves as a unique, one isolated, but part of a beautiful mosaic. May we all be zeicha, that when we dig these first shovelfuls, that we should focus our mind that everything we do, the Shulchan Aruch we adhere to, the Mesiras Nefesh, the Limud Torah that we commit to on a daily basis, and the Achdus, the beautiful Achdus, the Klal Yisrael that we're capable of expressing, should be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim and Emetz Hashem V'hi Lahem Migdash Ma'at. We'll have a Migdash Ma'at in Emetz Hashem. From this Migdash Ma'at, we'll shortly, quickly be transported to Artzeinu HaKadosh, Yerushalayim HaKadosh, with the Binyan Beis HaMikdash from Hevi Amen. Thank you very much.